I should say interview. It's my first one, and it's also the guy that I interviewed's first interview as well. So it's pretty awesome. We both ended up running into some technical difficulties. His microphone ended up not working, and my program wouldn't render the video for some reason. But eventually, if you're seeing this video, then it worked out. And I hope that you guys enjoy it. I know it's a bit different. Normal videos coming this Friday again, and I'm so sorry for being gone for a little bit. It's just been, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little bit laziness on my part, but it is what it is, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm ready to get back into the videos. Hopefully you guys are still here. So yeah, without any further ado, I hope that you enjoy it. If you don't like these types of videos, then no problem at all. Don't feel obligated to watch it. But for me, and hopefully Patrick as well, this was fun. It definitely was a lot of fun for me, and I would love to do this again in the future with him or someone else. So yeah, if you have any interesting stories or interesting life in general, which Patrick had a lot of very interesting stories, hit me up and we can set up an interview like this, which that would be a fun thing to do, interview the people that watch my videos. I think that would be very interesting, and I would love to do that. So yeah, I know that's a bit of a stretch, but if any of you guys want to do it, then yeah, don't worry, contact me and we can work it out. And also, again, thank you so much to Patrick. I sent him a message asking if he wanted to do this, and he instantly agreed and said yes. So he's a very, very nice guy. I'll leave his YouTube account link down in the description. And again, thank you so much to you, Patrick. And I'm sorry this took forever. I just had so many difficulties, but I think I managed to work it out now. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the video. And I'm sorry if I'm awkward. This is my first time doing this, and yeah, let's get right into it. Bye.
Can you talk a little bit about your YouTube channel, how long you had it, and why you decided to start one?
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel in October of 2012. So I've actually been on YouTube for 8 years. And I started it back when I was in high school because I was really stressed out and, looking for anything to kind of calm me down. And that's how I came across ASMR. I actually found the first ASMR channel I found was The Water Whispers. I don't know if you've seen her stuff. She's a ASMR channel that's been around for a while. She's from the Netherlands. And so I kind of started watching her videos. And, I actually reached out to her and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And she told me to go for it and, start making my own stuff. And so that's kind of how I started. And I've always kind of had a fascination with science and the paranormal and stuff like that. And so that's kind of the content that I've been putting on my channel recently. And, that's how I found your channel too. It's because I was actually looking up ASMR conspiracy theories.
There you go.
And that's how I found your channel. So I even used to be on a podcast that was talking about paranormal stuff. So it's always been something I've been interested in, and I thought, why not try in some of my videos to combine ASMR and paranormal stuff. So I live in one of the states that has the most paranormal activity.
Yep.
We got UFOs, we got Bigfoot and skinwalkers, and it's just crazy here. And so it was always just a part of growing up here too. Just everyone had a story that they wanted to tell. So I've always just loved the paranormal.
Yeah, so we pretty much have the same thing. We've been interested in the paranormal, and same thing with me. I started because going through a little bit of a stressful time in my life, around probably the same time as you, and I found Gentle Whispering. If you heard about her, I mean, she's probably one of the most, I guess, famous
Yeah,
ones.
she was the second channel that I found.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So that's pretty interesting. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, as much as you want to share. You don't have to overshare, but as much as you want to share.
Sure. I don't mind sharing at all. Um, so I am 24. Uh, I live in the Salt Lake City area in Utah. It's probably most famous for the 2002 Winter Olympics. Um, and, uh, you know, it's a great place to live. It's very beautiful. We got mountains everywhere. In terms of myself, I'm going to the University of Utah for a degree in anthropology. Uh, it's something that I've always found very fascinating. Human evolution, uh, but specifically the cultural aspects of it, and just hearing the different cultural perspectives on a whole bunch of different things. Studying mythology and religion and stuff like that. Um, it's very interesting, and um, in Utah we actually have a really rich cultural history in terms of the native people
Mm.
that live here. Um, and so it's a really great place to study because there's archaeological sites from a bunch of different tribes all over the state. And so it's really cool that way.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to grow up here and studying the things that I am. We also have a lot of dinosaur fossils here, which was my second choice for a degree with paleontology. Um, and I've just always been fascinated in stories from around the world of the paranormal and the supernatural and things like that, because there's so many different ghost stories, cryptids, and everything. It's kind of like a mythology in and of itself.
Yeah.
Bigfoot and UFOs and things like that. And because I am interested in the paranormal, that kind of got me started in witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. That's a real interesting part about you, because when you told me that, I didn't know too much about it. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it, which we'll get into later.
There's a lot of misconceptions for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of brings me to like growing up. For me, when I grew up, I had my grandfather who would tell me stories about Bigfoot, and it was pretty much all from America, because that's where the gold is, I would say. So when growing up, did you have anyone, like a person that would tell you these stories and kind of get you into it?
Yeah, for sure. So my grandfather was definitely one of them.
There you go.
Um, he used to take me camping every summer for like a week up in the mountains. And here's the thing about being in the Rocky Mountains, it's really quiet at night, so you can hear everything. And every time that I would hear something outside, I'd get scared, and he'd be like, probably a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
just to scare me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, and he'd always tell me stories about his paranormal experiences, which he's had a lot of them as well. originally he's from California. And there's also like a big Bigfoot presence.
Oh wow.
That's actually where the most famous video of a Bigfoot is from. The old kind of
Oh yeah, I think I know which one.
grainy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, and so that's from a part of California. And so he'd always tell me, he's like, oh, back when I was growing up in California, I would hear, these strange howls in the middle of the night, like these strange noises, and the sound of something knocking a stick on a tree or throwing rocks.
Yep.
And he said it sounded like an ape, almost. Which Bigfoot is my personal favorite cryptid, because it ties into my degree, right, with anthropology and human evolution, right? If there is a big, upright, walking ape, it would be the closest living animal to us.
Yeah, right.
So it would be a really cool scientific discovery.
Yep.
To know that we're not the only species of human on the planet. And we didn't used to be. I mean, our ancestors lived alongside 2 to 3 different species of other humans until they went extinct.
And
so it's just really fascinating. And I remember this one time I was camping with my grandfather. It was July. And I was in my tent. I think I was 13 or 14. And I started hearing something walking around my tent at about 2 or 3 in the morning. So it was pitch black. You can't see anything at night out there because there's no lights.
Yep.
If you don't have a fire going. And I was listening to see what it was, and it sounded like it was walking on 2 legs.
I would have ran. I mean, is there a car there? I'm getting in the car. I'm driving.
Yeah, there was a car, but
and you got into
I
it?
couldn't tell. No, I was too scared to move.
Fair enough.
Like, the only thing I had on me was a pocket knife. Like, I didn't have a gun because I wasn't old. So if it was a Bigfoot, and it decided it wanted to come after me, there's nothing I could have done.
Yeah, that probably would have been it.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any deaths by Bigfoot? Probably not. Not officially, at least.
I haven't really heard of any deaths, at least in the U.S.
Yeah.
When it comes to like Bigfoot type creatures, because they're found like all over the world too.
Yeah.
Like the Yeti and stuff, but in America and Canada, I don't think there's ever been a case of a Bigfoot killing someone.
Officially, yeah. Conspiracy.
There is this book, actually, that I would recommend that you look into. It's called Missing 411. And it's about all these cases in national parks in the U.S. where people went missing. And one of the theories is that Bigfoot is responsible for it.
I'm already loving it. I'm getting this book.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It really is. And then, of course, there's also cryptids that I'm interested in, like Mothman. I really like Mothman.
The Mothman. The rock star, wherever he's from.
Yeah, he's from West Virginia.
West Virginia. He's a rock star of West Virginia.
Yeah.
He's pretty big there. I mean, everyone knows about him there, probably. Right?
Oh, yeah. The town where he was sighted, first has a giant statue of
Oh
Mothman.
yeah, that's crazy. It's like Elvis was from there, and they put an Elvis statue or whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
Mothman started here before it went to wherever he went. That's pretty crazy.
Same thing in yeah, and it's the same thing in California too. They have Bigfoot statues everywhere.
I gotta see that stuff. It's so fascinating. It's like out of a Scooby Doo cartoon almost. It's like you won't believe the things are there, you know? Especially for me, not from America. It's so fascinating to me. It's like, is this a real place? You know? Because for us, not from
Right.
America, we get this picture of it being like I don't know. It's like a movie almost. You know? That's how I see
Well,
it.
yeah. Uh, it's it's definitely different
Yeah.
out here. Um, you know, it's whenever like I used to work at the university, and we had a lot of um, foreign exchange students and people from all over the world there for like the medical school and stuff.
Yeah.
And so when people would come from Europe, they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna go to, let's say, like Seattle or Portland or something like that
Yep.
next week," and we're thinking about driving. I have to tell them, I have to be like, "No, it's gonna be a 12, 13 hour drive just to get
Mm,
2 states over."
it's massive. It is massive,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and so you basically have to fly to get
Yep.
anywhere here.
It's massive. I didn't realize how big it was until like a bit older. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, look, there's your snake. I mean, that's another
Yeah,
vibe. I mean, that's just in
I
this.
know. He decided to latch onto my earbuds again.
That's what he does. He wants to listen as well.
Mm.
All right, so I have,
Um,
yeah. Okay, so I have a
oh,
little
go
bit.
ahead.
Thank you. I have a little bit of a question. Um, when did you start believing in the paranormal? Like, what was your first like thing that kind of made you go, oh wow, maybe there's something weird going on here?
Um, so I lived kind of. This was when I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
I lived out on kind of the outskirts of the city, so um, our house actually, our backyard just went straight into up into the mountain.
Oh, sounds beautiful.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it was. But that house was definitely haunted.
All right. I mean, now you gotta tell the stories. I want to know this now.
So when I was about 8 or 9, I remember waking up sometime around again 2 or 3, which um, called the witching hour. So it's kind of when paranormal activity is at its height. And I remember my waking up and seeing that my door was open, which was weird.
Mm.
Um, and so I went into the hallway to see if my mom or dad woke me up. We're trying to get something out of my room. And I saw this shadow on the wall. And it was wearing kind of one of those old time wide brim hats. So I definitely think I saw a shadow person.
Or the Hat Man himself. I mean, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that later
Yeah, and
and be
I,
like,
right, like, because I remember when I was about 14 or 15, I came across the first, like, Hatman stories on YouTube.
mm-hmm.
And I remember listening to it and being so freaked out because I was like, oh my god,
Because you've seen
like,
it.
I saw the
Yeah.
Hatman. Yeah. It was a very weird house. I mean, we had someone try to break in at one point. It wasn't even the weird thing is it wasn't even in a bad part of town. Um, it was far away from the city, huge, like empty spaces, and someone just tried to break in for some reason.
I mean, did you guys
Uh,
see the people, or did you just see the aftermath of someone trying to break in?
all I heard was just someone banging at the door, and my parents trying to keep it shut.
Gee,
So I don't know to this day if that was paranormal
right?
or if it was trying to break in. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense breaking in a house that was kind of by itself, does it? What's the kind
No.
of the point of
And
that?
there wasn't like there wasn't a car or anything outside. And the weird part is our security system didn't even go off.
I mean, I'm calling it. It's paranormal, and
Yeah, it was weird.
it was definitely weird. Gee, I would have freaked out. So going into that, what do you think? I mean, we're talking about ghosts. I mean, mostly. What do you think? What do you think ghosts are? Do you think it's more residual? Like, I don't know if you heard about the stone tape theory, where it's like events that happen that
Yeah.
keep being replayed. Yeah, or if it's more intelligent, or
Yeah,
what do you
like
think it
some
is?
sort of. So here I have two theories.
Yeah.
Or actually three.
Oh, I love it.
Um, so there's the more scientifically plausible, which is that ghosts are images from either our universe overlapping with another universe.
It's like dimensions.
Yeah, like dimensions kind of touching each other.
Yeah.
Or it's an imprint on the fabric of space and time of an event that
Mm-hmm.
happened. Kind of like a quantum memory,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
Um, or it could be um, us creating kind of our own image
Mm-hmm.
of something in our brain
Yeah.
because we want to. Let's say you just like lost a relative,
Yeah.
and you're just thinking about them, and then you see them out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Is Yeah, is it like actually them, or are you just thinking about them a lot?
Yeah. I mean, that's good that you bring
Um,
that up because everyone want to go instantly. It's paranormal, and you know, me and you believe in that. But there's also times where it is not paranormal, and it's kind of for me. It's important to kind of distinguish in between because I believe
yeah.
some sightings are, as you say, you just lost someone. You're
Yep.
sad, and your brain maybe creates some things that you want to see because you miss them. You know, so it could be that as
Yeah.
well.
Um, or it could be that um, because with witchcraft, especially the type of witchcraft I practice,
Mm-hmm.
um, it could be that you are kind of like connecting to someone that's not alive anymore,
Mm-hmm.
um, on like a spiritual level, and that allows you to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Because in some branches of witchcraft, there are like spells to conjure the dead and things like that, to
And that
talk to them.
fascinates me. That really
Yeah,
fascinates me.
I don't really do that
Can I ask you,
because
have you
it kind
tried
of
it?
no.
No. Will you ever try it?
Um, what I do, well, it depends on the way in which you do it,
Mm-hmm.
because there are dark magic ways to do it,
Yeah.
and then there are uh, white magic
I think
ways
most
to
people
do
know
it.
only about the dark magic side of witchcraft. Would you agree? I mean, most
Yeah,
people see only that, you know. But I know you do
yeah,
a more white positive magic.
I do.
Yeah.
But I practice what I call gray magic,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little bit of both. It's kind of staying away from the more, um, how would I put this, like intense forms of
Yeah.
magic,
Yeah.
unless it's to affect someone that's deserving of it.
Okay, gotcha. So
Um,
that's also part of it. You can, how can I say it? You can not. I'm not gonna. I can't curse, but I can curse. But you can f someone up with some spells. Can I say it like that?
yes, you
Yeah.
can. My favorite one that I use if someone is being not so great to me
Yeah.
is called a return spell, which basically, so this person is coming at you with all this negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you take the bad energy they're sending at you and you
Throw it
send it
back.
back.
Yeah, it's like a mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I mean,
and
that's
so kind of,
deserving. That's just deserving.
yeah.
Honestly. So that brings me to what made you want to get into witchcraft? Like, when did you even discover this?
I don't know exactly when. I've always been kind of a spiritual person since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I've always been spiritual since I was a little kid. And I would go out into nature and collect like rocks and little uh, artifacts that I would find out in nature. Because here in Utah, you can find old arrowheads
Oh
in
yeah.
the rivers around here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I was always kind of out in nature, and witchcraft is a very nature-based practice. Um, it kind of started when I figured out what witchcraft was. My first introduction to it was through a friend at school, and this is very weird because here in Utah, um, the main religion is the Mormon Church. Um, and so it was such a weird coincidence that I found this pagan witchcraft practitioner in my class.
Yep.
Um, but she had already gotten into it, um, and that's kind of how I started. I started off with candle magic, which is just basically burning different color candles for different outcomes. I still kind of use that today, but that's kind of like basic beginner stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then as I got older, I started, kind of looking into other religions. Because I was raised Catholic, and my parents are very supporting of it
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Um, but kind of with that background, um, it was kind of frowned upon
Yeah.
by the church, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and so, like, what I did was, I started looking into all these other religions because my parents said you can stop going to church after you go through confirmation.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Um, yeah, and so that's what I did, and I started looking into Hinduism, Buddhism, um, a whole bunch of different religions, every major religion
Yeah.
basically you can think of. But I was kind of leaning more towards the Eastern kind of philosophies,
Mm-hmm.
like Buddhism and Hinduism.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went about my life for a little bit as an agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last 3 to 4 years, I really started practicing witchcraft again.
Yeah.
Because I think I found more of an appreciation for it. Because with witchcraft, it's very open. You can choose to believe in deities or gods. You can choose to work with them, or you can choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of up to you. Um, you can just rely on your own power
Yeah.
as a witch, basically. Um, and it's just so, I would say it's kind of a peaceful practice. I don't want to quite call it a religion,
Yeah.
because there are definitely religious witches out there.
Hmm.
For instance, there in the U.S. there's a lot of Norse pagans who believe in like Odin,
Yeah.
Thor, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of what comes to mind um, when you say pagan. But you can totally be an atheist or a Greek pagan, or you can use different gods and deities from um, any mythology, basically, that you
Gotcha.
want to. Or, like I said, not at all. So, what drew me to it is that it's a very open uh, way of life,
Hmm.
basically. And that's kind of why I've started doing it again, because my experience growing up in the Catholic Church was basically judgment and
Hmm.
condemnation and
Yeah. Right.
anger and stuff like that.
It is
And
that, isn't it?
so, yeah, and so if you're a Catholic or a Christian or whatever, that's totally fine, as long as you're being a good person. But like for me, it just didn't make sense, and so I wanted to try something that is open and accepting, um, and has a really long history of being used, because witchcraft has been around since basically forever.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the more it's probably the most primitive belief, basically,
Yeah.
um, because that's what the majority of people on this planet believed for or not millions, but thousands of years.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's really interesting to me, and I actually, when I did my first few spells, I didn't really notice anything changing,
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna
but that's
ask.
because I was
Did you know when did you
that's
notice it was working? You know?
yeah. So basically, what happened with me is, I expected a spell to work immediately.
Hmm.
Um, and what happens in witchcraft is that the more you focus on a spell and what you want to come out of it, it will, but you have to keep focusing on it and setting your intentions on it, and just being like, you know, um, this is going to work. And you just have to keep thinking that. And then over time, that positive energy that you feed into that idea, it just kind of keeps growing.
Yeah.
Um, and so you will notice over the course of however long it takes to complete the spell, you day by day it'll start being noticeable.
Yeah.
So like I did a few things when I started back up a few years ago. Um, I did a luck spell, and um, I did. Trying to think.
Don't worry.
A protection spell.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think actually those are the only two. And I noticed right away that, with the protection spell, um, at first it was just a little bit more. Sorry, it's hard to explain
Yeah,
sometimes.
I get that.
Um, so it was like at first, I didn't really feel better,
Hmm.
because the intention of the protection spell was to just kind of keep people's bad energy away from me,
Hmm.
because I pick up on things like that. And like, if you're not to talk like a millennial or anything, but like if the vibe is off, I
I
pick
get you.
up
If
on
the vibe
that.
is off, you feel it instantly, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so
I get it.
like what would happen is constantly feeling that would make me tired and depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I did the protection spell, and every day after I did that, I started feeling more and more safe and happy, and just like I don't care anymore
Yeah.
about other people.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting because I'm glad the way you described it because I don't know too much about it, obviously, and I think a lot of people don't. Um, but as I said, I had this like not negative, but I had this like Hollywood thing is like sitting around a cauldron. Oh, there's like green smoke
Yeah.
popping out of the thing. Oh, I'm gonna, So like one of like some common misconceptions about witchcraft which you have encountered.
Um, the first huge misconception is that we worship the devil.
Yeah.
We don't. There are certain people that worship the devil and also happen to be witches, but they're not the majority. Um, Within witchcraft, the majority is more of the pagan roots of it.
Mm.
So, like, ancient pantheons and things like that, or nature magic. Um, so that's like the vast majority of witchcraft. The reason people think we worship the devil is because the church, back in the Middle Ages, and right up until the Salem witch trials in the 1500s, um, associated pagans with devil worship in
Mm.
order to persecute them, basically, because
Mm-hmm.
pagans were the majority religion in Europe for thousands of years. Um, and the reason uh, that the church, wanted to get rid of them was to kind of, Christianize everyone. And so if you start associating pagans with devil worship, that makes it easier to persecute them.
Yeah.
Um, and you'll see, like, throughout history, as you get closer to the Salem witch trials, the label of witch starts to become a label by which to prosecute women. Um, so there's definitely a sexist undertone to that as well. Um, and, you know, throughout the rest of modern history, um, especially here in America, um, the evangelical churches will associate um, witchcraft with devil worship still.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, there's Satanist lyrics in these rock songs. They're hidden, and it's a
Yeah.
conspiracy theory from the devil to take over the world and start Armageddon and blah blah blah. Um,
Yep.
and so witches have continued to be portrayed in a bad light for a long time. I would say that that's where that misconception comes from, that we worship the devil and that we're evil.
Mm-hmm.
We're sacrificing virgins or kids
Yeah.
or something
See,
like that.
that's what you hear, in the popular, sign of it, like going back to like movies and stuff like that, that witches, as I said, around the cauldron, and all that.
Yeah.
So that's really good that you said that because, like, I'm not saying people like they don't have to believe it, but at least, no, there's two sides of it, not just this evil side, which I think is unfortunately brought out in the light a bit more than the
Oh yeah, and
realistic side of it.
um, for sure, and like one of the misconceptions about witchcraft too is that we're trying to convert people to worship the devil. Um, in witchcraft, you're not supposed to convert people.
No.
Yeah, and it's not. It's very much not like a westernized religion where you have to go out and tell people about Jesus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a very personal thing, and if someone wants to learn, they can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's completely up to that person.
I like that. I like that. It's not forced upon you. I mean, that's very good because I'm interested in everything, and I think a lot of people maybe watch my channel are open to a lot. Like I'm gonna be honest. I don't believe in everything that I make on my videos on YouTube, but I do find every single topic interesting, and that's how it should be. I think you don't have to believe in everything, but at least if you're interested in that stuff, then understand the entirety of it.
Oh yeah,
You know, not
for
just one
sure.
side. You know.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because, um, like I said, there's a lot of skeptical or like a lot of skeptics that
Mm-hmm.
practice witchcraft too, kind of in the sense of not working with any of the different gods or goddesses or things like that.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, it's very open, and it's how do I explain this? Like, sorry,
Don't worry about it.
I, I'm just trying to think about what I was going to say. Um,
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're just freestyling this, and it's all right. It's all right.
um,
And
like
yeah.
one of the main things that also drew me to it was that there's a lot of LGBT and gay folks in witchcraft,
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of always been the tradition of people that have been oppressed.
Yeah.
In America, we have a lot of voodoo practitioners here,
Mm-hmm.
because that was brought over from Africa.
There you go.
And so, these types of traditions have always been there for people that society kind of pushes aside,
Mm-hmm.
at least here.
Yeah.
And that kind of drew me to it as well.
Yeah.
Because I finally felt like there was a place that was accepting me.
Yeah. It's kind of empowering, kind of in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so what I was going to ask too is, what are some of the reactions when you first, your friends and family, when you said that you practice witchcraft? I mean, I'm assuming many of them maybe had the same misconceptions about it that a lot of people have.
So actually, this is going to be weird. When I said I was practicing witchcraft, a lot of people in my life had done it before or were still practicing it.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't even notice. I mean, with the exception of my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and my boyfriend. I mean, he's very supporting,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really get into a lot of the stuff besides reading tarot cards.
Yeah.
And everyone's been accepting whether they practice it or not. But sometimes I'll be wearing one of my like pentacle necklaces
Mm-hmm.
out in public,
Mm-hmm.
and people will think it's like a satanic
Yeah.
symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So here, I'll show you.
Yep.
So this is the witchcraft
Oh yeah.
pentacle.
Yeah. I like when I see that, I see like those when they do like I was watching a Ghost Adventures episode, do like satanic rituals on the ground or whatever, and they spray paint it or whatever. So
the difference between that and the satanic pentagram is that the satanic pentagram is turned upside down.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and so what the pentacle is the 5 points represent the 5 different elements:
Mm-hmm.
earth, air, water, fire, and spirit,
Mm-hmm.
or soul, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's kind of a representation of nature in witchcraft.
Yeah. So
And so that's also why we get mistaken for Satanists all the time.
yeah, and I'm so glad you talked about this because, as I said, people don't have to believe or anything, but is that don't think something about something you don't know anything about almost. You know what I mean? Because I get to know about that all the time about things that I believe, and people want to judge me for it if it's paranormal or whatever, and they don't know anything about it. They have this very small percentage of what they know about it, and they take that as the entirety of it. And in most cases, that's not it. So, what would you say to someone who doesn't believe in the paranormal? Which, I mean, I've had a lot of arguments with my family about it, and I'll keep having them until the day I die because it is real.
Here's the Yeah, it is, but here's the thing: people that have never experienced it before don't think it's real. Like, you don't think it's real until it's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you've never had something like that happen, how are you going to know if it's real?
Yeah.
Um, and so, maybe they just haven't had an experience yet.
Yeah. As I feel like especially my dad, I would have a lot of arguments about with him because he's a teacher. He's very, and I would have like, if you saw an alien right now, what would you do? And he'd be like, I believe it was a mask. Or like, what do you want happen to you? Like, do you want to be thrown off the bed in the middle of the night? Like, what do you need to experience? Because I have had a few experiences, but I've always, like, the first one I really had was, I talked about on my channel is, I lost a family member, and their favorite song started playing on a laptop that was closed, which makes no sense. So I open it and I log in, and the song isn't even searched. It just played by itself.
Yeah,
And it has a search log of songs.
like
That it doesn't make any sense. And you can tell
it's
that.
definitely crazy when stuff like that happens.
That's powerful. You can't explain it.
It
I
is.
mean, I try to explain it. I try to, but still, I cannot explain that.
My dad was a scientist too.
Mm.
He is a mineral engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's very hard science. Like, unless you can prove it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so he'd always argue with me about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a battle, man. It's a battle. But
It is.
I feel like eventually maybe they'll come around when you get a bit older. You have a little bit more time to go through YouTube like we do, maybe, to see. There's a lot of things out there. Because they expect, I feel like my dad, maybe yours too, expect to see on the news, proof found of ghosts finally discovered. It's like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to.
Right, yeah. For sure, yeah. And it's like, maybe one day we'll find that there are aliens out there.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll find a Bigfoot, but not right now.
Right. And I probably won't be on the headlines of the news. I feel like they wouldn't go that route. Let's just say that.
No, because I feel like the government would definitely try to cover that stuff up sometimes.
The American government does that, don't they? They cover up a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I live 5 hours away from Area 51.
Bro, make an ASMR video outside Area 51. I guarantee you that would be the biggest thing. I would have done that. ASMR video doing ASMR outside Area 51. That's the title. That's all you need to put. That's a guaranteed hit.
That would be so much fun.
That would be a vibe, right? The tent, the fire going. Come on.
Right. Maybe like a plastic alien sitting in one of the chairs.
Right. That would have been, bro, million views. I mean, that's a guarantee.
For sure.
That would have been a really cool thing. But yeah, I just want to finish this by saying thank you. You're very kind, and you said yes straight away, which I really do appreciate. There's, for me, I don't expect anyone to be, especially if you don't know the person. You didn't know me, and you were kind to me straight away, and you said yes to when I asked you about this, which, I really do appreciate it, and just want you to know that is really, really appreciated, and very, very kind of you to do it, because I really wanted to talk to you about this because I'm interested in all these things. You know, I'm like, oh, I want to investigate this and that. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, it was no trouble at all. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. So that will be the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and check out his channel. That will be in the description. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on Monday.